Hey everybody, it's Durger time. So, I saw this post on the Fantasy Bookers Reddit the other day by Reddit user PGF3. It says, "Little challenge for you all. Invasion angles. There's an interesting thing, so let's say from WrestleMania 35 to WrestleMania 36, in a co-promotional agreement, New Japan Pro Wrestling and NWA invades the WWE. How do you book it? What are the storylines? Who's on whose side? And what would the matches be and who gets the titles?" So this gets me thinking. Yeah, I'm an armchair booker. I got this, no sweat. Also, it's a lot harder than I thought it would be, but I think we did it. This is Durger Time's armchair booking of a New Japan invasion. Okay, so first things first, a little modification. An NWA invasion would not work. Unless we're dealing with the NWA that I'm currently booking in my Let's Play series, there really isn't much of a national wrestling alliance right now. Recently, Cody Rhodes won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, and there's a few names in and around the NWA that exist currently, like Nick Aldis or Tim Storm. But there's really not a promotion or even a defined roster for the company, not yet at least. Even with Cody Rhodes having the belt now, the general plan as far as I can tell is to have him as a traveling champion, defending it at various promotions all across the world. So an NWA invasion of the WWE is simply a non-starter. But with New Japan, whoa boy, that is a different story entirely. So, New Japan Pro Wrestling, as a little bit of a background, started in 1972 by Antonio Inoki, a pro wrestler who toured the United States on a long excursion period and gained some notoriety in the West for shoot-fighting Bruno Sammartino and trying to actually start a hostile takeover of the Japanese Wrestling Alliance. Not necessarily a figure of class or moral sophistication, but hey, it's wrestling in the 70s, what do you expect? Since the 1970s, New Japan Pro Wrestling grew and grew, becoming a hotbed for Japanese-styled wrestling, or strong-style wrestling in the West. It is easily the second largest wrestling promotion currently in the world. It's almost a universe on its own, with its own history, its own storylines, and its own stars that were, until recently, largely unknown to most Western wrestling viewers. So a New Japan invasion, well, that's an interesting storyline, something that I was thinking about for a while. This wouldn't be like the WCW invasion. This would be like a final crisis on Infinite Earths. This is the WWE's parallel universe. It's Marvel vs. DC. This is going to be fun. Okay, so let's book this. So how the hell do we make this happen? How does a wrestling promotion invade another? Well, it usually doesn't. These are competing companies looking to vie for wrestling supremacy. Even during the WCW invasion, it took a McMahon buying and taking ownership of the WCW for this to happen. This is also why, in my opinion, the WCW invasion of the early 2000s failed. As a fan, you were interested in seeing the legends of both companies finally square off. Instead, it became about one McMahon versus another McMahon. Two people from the same company and the same family dealing with the same family drama in the same company. So let's not even bother trying to book a buyout angle. No. This is going to be more inceptive, more underground. Our invasion starts with the Bullet Club.
Bullet Club. For life.
So one thing for certain, wrestling fans are smart. They read the dirt sheets, they listen to Dave Meltzer, they know about the gimmicks and the angles that happen. If you really want to start this angle hot, you need to work them like they've never been worked before. So what you do is you have the elite leave New Japan Pro Wrestling and publicly sign with the WWE. So I've long hypothesized that dirt sheets and backstage drama of the last couple years is just kayfabe 2.0. So let's just use this to our advantage. All the reports and the rumors and all the fears of the internet wrestling community are confirmed. Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, and the Young Bucks all sign, at least publicly, a multi-year contract with the WWE. This would be a flashpoint for our Invasion adventure, and the core event that will spiral things out of control for a full-force invasion. Immediately, Kenny, Cody, and the Bucks debut in a big way at WrestleMania 35. Debuting as a surprise entrant in a tag team ladder match, much like the Hardy Boys did a few years prior, the Young Bucks get the pop of their careers and proceed to dominate in the match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. They win with the assistance of two people from the crowd, Cody and Kenny, hopping the barricade and grabbing the ankles of two opponents before starting a super kick party in the largest stadium that they've ever been in. The group are all wearing Bullet Club t-shirts, the leader of the club is here, and the Elite are standing at the center of the ring, flashing three fingers and being blasted by a sonic wave of 100,000 fans chanting, "Be Elite." The surprise signings don't end during WrestleMania. The Raw after sees the debut of the Tongan brothers, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, the Gorillas of Destiny. It seems that the Bullet Club is reunited, and with massive numbers, this time in WWE, they quickly spend their first few months dominating the competition. They aren't on one roster, or any roster for that matter. Like the NWO that the Bullet Club are based off of, they dedicate their time by saying F the system and show up wherever the hell they damn please. Always together, always outnumbering their opponents, Cody Rhodes quickly takes the Intercontinental Championship. The Young Bucks strongly defend and maintain their SmackDown Tag Team Championships. All eyes are now on the Tongans, now gunning for the Raw Tag Team Championships, currently being held by their former friends and good brothers, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Meanwhile, Kenny Omega is gunning for the WWE Heavyweight Championship, once held by AJ Styles, now currently being held by Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura sees the dangers of the newly united Bullet Club. After all, he's fought them in the past in New Japan, and he quickly calls in some favors of his own. Just as Kenny Omega was about to win the title, a song plays out in the arena, and pieces of paper rain from the sky. Nakamura just called in chaos. And certainly chaos is what ensues. Two factions from New Japan have now entered the fray in the WWE universe. Nakamura has reunited with Kazuchika Okada and helped co-lead Chaos to fight against Kenny and the Bullet Club. Meanwhile, on Raw, the Good Brothers unite with an old friend as well. Finn Balor, the original leader of the Bullet Club, is none too happy with the situation. To see the monster he created turn into what it's become and go after former members, it's made him irate. He reunites with Anderson and Gallows, and even a returning Bad Luck Fale in order to repel the new Bullet Club. All this infighting goes on for the course of months, which leaves some of the WWE True Bloods rather upset. Returning to action is John Cena, calling out the members of the Japanese invasion and the destruction that it's caused. He begins to lead his own faction, saying he has already squashed one internet favorite faction before and he can do it again. He forms it out of legends and staples of the WWE. Cena, Randy Orton, and Triple H lead the front. While they would not align normally, the threat of takeover is clear. They make it known that they are legends of wrestling and will not be silenced. Unfortunately for them, their moves to unite just escalate the situation, because they lure out a new group from New Japan into the fray. Led by Hiroshi Tanahashi, a group of Japanese legends debut. Another unlikely alliance, in fact. Tanahashi, Minoru Suzuki, and Jushin Thunder Liger. The New Japan legends are here. The battle between New Japan and WWE rages on for several more months, going past Hell in a Cell and Survivor Series. And the battle causes a disruption in the dominance of New Japan. The Young Bucks lose their belts in a skirmish with the New Day, starting a rivalry between the two groups. Meanwhile, Kenny Omega's attention gets diverted from the belt he was once chasing. It seems that the rise of the original Bullet Club has produced a complication for him. The Tongans, Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, defect and join Finn and the original Bullet Club, and threatens Omega's leadership. In a battle over dominance, a new person threw their name into the ring. AJ Styles. The three now seem locked in a clash over something more important to them than wrestling gold. Who is the rightful owner and leader of the Bullet Club? Meanwhile, Cody Rhodes' involvement takes an interesting turn. As the Bullet Club battle rages on, he ends up losing the Intercontinental Championship and begins walking around with the NWA Championship on TV, talking about its legacy and how this company destroyed his, and how he had to remake it from scratch on the outside. It's scathing, it's raw. It brings out an old friend. Goldust comes to the ring, but not to greet him. He seems angry, yelling off mic at him. He seems angry at Cody, and for the first time on television, he actually grabs a cloth and wipes away his gold paint. For the first time in the WWE, he speaks as Dustin, not Goldust. And he speaks directly to his brother. He says that their family name isn't tarnished here, and that Cody's way off the mark. He says that it's carried on by him. Cody obviously disagrees. He slights him, he belittles him, he calls him nothing more than a sideshow gimmick. It leads to a square-off. The Rhodes brothers are at a crossroads. Not all things are stable in chaos either. Shinsuke Nakamura has a hard time letting go of the leadership of Chaos, and seeing his mentee Okada running the show. Okada is still dominantly in charge, and the two frequently butt heads. In a moment of anger, the conflict turns physical, and Nakamura betrays Okada during an important match. He wants his faction back, and Okada is not willing to give it to him. So all in all, the battle lines are all drawn, and over the course of the year, the conflict rages on to come to a conclusion to a final card at WrestleMania 36. The stage is set, and the location for this year's WrestleMania, well, of course, it's the Tokyo Dome. So let's take a look at this card and see how the New Japan invasion ends. We start with the Young Bucks versus the New Day. A fun and silly match. It would be exactly what you would expect. Full of flying kicks and fried pancakes. Does it even matter who would win? It would be a blast. Let's just say the New Day takes this one. Next up would be Triple H versus Jushin Thunder Liger. The two reigned as legends during the same era, just 4,000 miles apart. Ultimately, Triple H defeats Liger, and in a show of respect, Liger puts over Trips and raises his hand. Because come on, it's a Triple H match. Even if I'm armchair booking it, do you really think Triple H isn't going to get himself over? Triple H always goes over. Next up is Randy Orton versus Minoru Suzuki, in a match I didn't know I wanted until I was booking this. It would be nasty and aggressive, full of violence and grabs and grips and hard hits. Suzuki would ultimately defeat Orton and prove that he is one legend that Orton cannot kill. Next up, we would have John Cena versus Tanahashi, an ace versus an ace. This would be likely John Cena's greatest match, at least in my opinion. I would love to see this thing in real life. It's hard to pick a win, but I think ultimately Tanahashi would take the win over this. He's younger, he's better, and John Cena would be willing to put him over. Okada versus Nakamura. Nakamura was always one of Okada's greatest friends in New Japan, and yet also one of his toughest opponents. If you don't believe me, watch their G1 final fight. In the end, Nakamura's snaky tactics and expert mind allow him to get the win off of Okada. Next up would be Cody Rhodes versus Goldust. In a very personal match, the two dressed down. No costumes, no gimmicks, no face paint. It's just themselves. Dustin versus Cody, the Rhodes brothers. Both wearing inverted colors of similar tights. Both in polka dot designs. Ultimately, Dustin defeats Cody, and in tears, the two comfort one another. And finally, the main event. Kenny Omega versus AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. The battle for the leadership of the Bullet Club. Balor would come out as his demon, stark black and white in a design that indicates the ownership of the club, while also hearkening back to the past when he dressed as various versions of Marvel's Venom and Carnage. Ultimately, Kenny overcomes both and reclaims the name as a leader of the Bullet Club. The three of them would share one final moment in the Tokyo Dome together, with Omega holding up a two sweet and the two others joining him in a curtain call moment. And just like that, the invasion was over. The New Japan wrestlers leave, some with wins and others with losses. And definitely they would leave us with an unforgettable year in professional wrestling. And that was my armchair booking of a New Japan Pro Wrestling invasion of the World Wrestling Entertainment universe. Let me know what you think, and if you like this bizarre format and want more, let me know in the comments section below. As always, thank you for watching.